I chose to do the overhead squat assessment because during my years of training, I noticed that the overhead squat was one of my weakest exercises. The overhead squat test reveals any compensation or defects at key checkpoints, such as feet, knees, lumbo-pelvic hip complex, and the shoulders. As a result, it effectively demonstrates any discrepancies in our entire human movement system. After seeing the video of myself performing the overhead squat, I observed that I had a slightly forward lean. My heel would elevate off the floor. It would raise off the floor. And my feet would slightly turn out when I would go down in the squat movement, which was also a major discrepancy of mine. In the next segments of this project, in the next part of the video, I will show many other different techniques of how to help with the human movement pattern of mine or anybody else that may have this problem when it comes to the overhead squat. So I will demonstrate the inhibitory, lengthening, activation, and integration approaches to aid with my discrepancies and the human movement discrepancies, or the human movement pattern, I would say. The inhibitory technique helps reduce pain, inflammation, trigger point sensitivity, and as well as adhesions. Okay, from the video, one of my major discrepancies was my heel being elevated off the floor when I go into my squat. So therefore, my overaxial muscle was the gastrosoleus complex, and I would be using a SMR technique, which would be utilizing a foam roller. But since I do not have a foam roller, instead, I would use like a bottle or like a hard jar so that I can really get into the muscle and reduce the tension in the overactive muscle. So I'll be using a hard peanut butter jar. So since I don't have a foam roller, I would use this as a substitute. But you can use like a hard object or you can use like a rigid object as a substitute. And what I would do is I would place it right here as I would do a foam roller. And to get deeper within the tissue, I will put my other leg across from it. And you want to roll it. You want to roll it for 30 to 90 seconds. You want to roll it for 30 to 90 seconds. And once you find the sensitive spot, you want to hold it. You want to hold it. And you want to go back to doing it again. And that'll be it for the inhibitory technique. So to start off this segment, lengthening techniques help increases range of motion and flexibility within the muscle. And when I do my overhead squat, my heels tend to elevate or raise up, and that is due to limited and reduced dorsiflexion within the gastrocnemius and soleus complex. So for the lengthening technique, I'm going to do a PNF calf stretch. So to start it off, you want to have your legs straight out and you want to have the band over your foot. And so to perform the stretch, I'm going to hold a band around my foot, keeping my legs straight, and I'm going to do a passive stretch for 10 seconds where it's not irresistible, where I feel a stretch. Then after 10 seconds, I'm going to pull further. For around 6 seconds, I'm going to hold this, and then I'm going to relax. Now I'm going to pull further again, and I should be able to increase the stretch because of autogenetic inhibition. And I hold this stretch for around 30 seconds. And this is to help because I have reduced movement and limitations in my dorsiflexion. and the dorsiflexion action within the gastrocnemius and soleus complex. Activation techniques are beneficial to the human movement system. It helps re-educate and strengthen the underactive muscles. When we have underactive and overactive muscles, they are called imbalances. Having muscle imbalances and not doing anything about it can lead to injuries in the future. They can lead to human movement discrepancies as well and impaired human movement patterns, which may also lead to injury. And my underactive muscle would be the anterior tibialis. And the activation exercise that I will be performing will isolate the muscle and help strengthen it as well, while also making it the prime mover. So, in the activation exercise, I will be performing stretches to help with dorsiflexion, or exercise to help with dorsiflexion. And so, how I would do it is, you want to put the resistance band in something that'll keep it still so that you can have resistance. So, doing it like this. And you want to perform 10 to 15 repetitions slowly. So what you want to do, you want to start off right here. And you want to pull back just like this. Pull back. 10 to 15 slowly repetitions. Helping with dorsiflexion. And the reason for this activation technique is to help strengthen the muscles so that the underactive muscles and the overactive muscles is not compensating. Integration techniques are beneficial to the human movement system as it increases multiplanar neuromuscular coordination and control. Also, it decreases compensation due to muscle imbalances, and as well, it increases range of motion. Integration techniques can as well be incorporated in workouts to help correct the discrepancies that I have and that others may have. So my underactive muscle was the anterior tibialis, and I wanted to increase, strengthen, and improve flexibility in my underactive muscle. Also, I have a lack of dorsiflexion, which is a huge reason of the fact why my heels are elevating when I squat down in the overhead in the overhead squat. So I will be doing the single leg squat for my integration technique, integration exercise. And so the point of the single leg squat is to help strengthen and improve stability and strength at the ankle. And you want to do 1 to 3 sets, 10 to 15 repetitions. And so I got a chair because I'm not quite as strong enough or stable enough to do the exercise without the chair. So put one foot up, go down slow and controlled, come back up, do it again, slow, controlled, come back up, slow, controlled, come back up. And you will do that 10 to 15 repetitions, 1 to 3 sets. looking back at the video that I just recorded of me redoing the movement of the overhead squat, I would say that if I continue to do the techniques, continue to do the exercises, then later on down the road in the future, that I will improve my underactive muscles, and I will just overall improve my human movement patterns. But as of right now, it slightly helped me as of right now because I was just getting into it and I was just doing it. So I do say it was slightly helped. I noticed that my feet didn't really turn out as it did in the beginning, but my heels, sometimes they did elevate, sometimes they didn't. So therefore, yes, I do think that everything that I've done so far in this video will be beneficial and helpful later on down in the road. But as of right now, it slightly helped, but I think it will just take time and take repetition.